Look, I am going to be honest with you right from the start. When Commander Velcris announced we would be testing a human specimen, I laughed. Actually laughed. Out loud. In front of my entire unit. The kind of laugh that gets you disciplinary warnings and extra guard duty for a cycle. But come on. Humans. Those soft, fleshy bipeds from that unremarkable blue planet in the outer rim. The species that somehow stumbled into faster-than-light travel by accident. The ones who name their warships things like Fluffy and Mr. Whiskers. Yeah. Those humans. My name is Torvin, and I serve in the Caldrith Empire's Elite Combat Assessment Division. We test warriors from across the galaxy, ranking their combat effectiveness on a scale from 1 to 10,000. It is a job I have held for 6 orbital cycles, and in that time, I have seen species that could tear through reinforced titanium with their bare appendages. I have watched warriors dodge plasma fire at point-blank range. I have documented beings that could survive in the vacuum of space without protection. Humans. They ranked somewhere around 400 on our preliminary assessments. Decent endurance, sure. Surprisingly creative problem-solving, okay, fine. But physically? Weak bone density compared to most species. Thin skin that tears easily. No natural armor plating, no venom sacs, no enhanced sensory organs worth mentioning. They die if they do not eat for 30 days. Pathetic. So when the human transport vessel docked at our station 3 cycles ago, I was expecting another routine evaluation. Maybe they would score in the mid-hundreds, get their certification, and leave. Simple. Boring. Done. The human they sent was named Marcus Webb. Now, before I go any further, let me paint you a picture of our testing facility. The arena spans 200 meters in diameter, surrounded by observation decks protected by energy shields that could withstand a direct hit from a battlecruiser. The floor is adaptive combat terrain, meaning it can shift between environments in seconds. Desert. Tundra. Urban ruins. Whatever we need. In the center, we have the combat ring, where challengers face off against our ranking system. The ranking system works like this. You fight progressively stronger opponents until you cannot continue. Each victory moves you up the scale. Most species tap out around level 3 or 4. The really impressive ones, the apex predators from heavy gravity worlds or the cybernetically enhanced warriors. They might reach level 7 or 8 before calling it quits. Only 3 beings in recorded history have ever reached level 10. And level 10 is not even close to the top. When Marcus Webb walked into the arena, I had to check my data pad twice to make sure they sent us a warrior and not a civilian by mistake. He stood approximately 1.8 meters tall. Maybe 75 kilograms. Brown hair, cut short. Brown eyes. Wearing what appeared to be simple combat fatigues, nothing fancy. No powered armor. No visible weapons. No augmentations that our scanners could detect. He looked, and I cannot stress this enough, completely ordinary. Commander Velcris addressed him from the observation deck. Human Marcus Webb. You have volunteered for combat assessment. The rules are simple. You will face opponents of increasing difficulty. Yield at any time by raising your hand and speaking the words, "I submit." Lethal force is prohibited. Permanent maiming is prohibited. Everything else is acceptable. Do you understand? Marcus looked up at us. Nodded once. Understood. His voice was calm. Flat. Like he was confirming a lunch order, not about to enter combat trials that had hospitalized warriors 3 times his size. I leaned over to my colleague, Prex. 20 credits says he yields at level 2. Prex, a Volthari with 4 arms and scales like blue steel, chittered in amusement. 20. I will bet 50 he does not make it past level 1. We both should have kept our credits. The first opponent materialized via teleport pad at the far end of the arena. A Skrell warrior. Level 1. Standard difficulty. The Skrell are reptilian hunters from a swamp world, standing about 2 meters tall, with decent speed and reflexes. This particular one, designated Fighter 793, had completed over 100 assessment bouts. It knew what it was doing. The starting bell chimed. Fighter 793 rushed forward with a textbook opening move, claws extended, going for a quick grapple to test the opponent's strength and reaction time. It is what we teach them. Assess first, then adapt. Marcus did not move. Not a centimeter. He just stood there, hands relaxed at his sides, watching the Skrell close the distance. 10 meters. 5 meters. 3. He froze, Prex said. First-timer panic response. Common in prey species. Then, at the last possible second, Marcus moved. I have reviewed the footage approximately 400 times since that day, and I still cannot fully track what happened. One moment, Fighter 793 was lunging forward with a strike that should have connected solidly with Marcus's torso. The next moment, Marcus had shifted his weight, rotated his hips, and somehow redirected the Skrell's entire momentum using what appeared to be its own force against it. The Skrell flew through the air, rotated 180 degrees, and slammed back first into the arena floor with enough force to crack the reinforced plating. 3.2 seconds. That is how long the fight lasted. Fighter 793 did not get up. Medical teams rushed in with anti-grav stretchers. The Skrell was unconscious but stable. Severe concussion. 3 fractured ribs. Bruised internal organs. The arena went dead silent. Marcus stood in the same spot, hands back at his sides, breathing steady. Waiting. Commander Velcris's voice crackled over the intercom. Level 1 complete. Initiating Level 2. I looked at Prex. Prex looked at me. Neither of us said anything about the bet. Level 2 opponent materialized. A Kryn shock trooper. These guys are no joke. 2.5 meters of armored hide, 4 arms, enhanced strength rated at Class 6. This one, Fighter 415, had a winning record of 87 victories to 12 defeats. The bell chimed. Fighter 415 did not rush in like the Skrell. It circled Marcus slowly, professional, looking for openings. Testing his guard. Smart. Marcus turned to keep the Kryn in front of him, but otherwise did not change his stance. Still relaxed. Still calm. The Kryn feinted left, then exploded right, all 4 arms reaching to grab, crush, and incapacitate. It was fast. Really fast. Marcus was faster. He dropped low, under the grab, and drove his fist upward into the Kryn's abdomen. Right below the armor plating where the soft tissue connects. The impact sounded like a hammer hitting wet leather. The Kryn's eyes went wide. All 4 arms dropped. It staggered backward, gasping for air. Marcus followed up with a spinning strike that caught the Kryn behind the leg joint. The warrior crashed to one knee. Before it could recover, Marcus had moved behind it, locked its upper right arm, and applied pressure to the shoulder joint in a way that made every warrior watching wince in sympathy. I yield, Fighter 415 gasped. I yield. Marcus released immediately and stepped back. 7.8 seconds. Medical teams moved in again. Dislocated shoulder. Bruised respiratory organ. The Kryn would recover, but it was done for the day. Okay. Now people were paying attention. The observation deck, which had been maybe 30% full when we started, was now packed. Word travels fast in a military station, and apparently word was that something interesting was happening in Assessment Arena 3. I pulled up Marcus's file on my data pad, scanning for anything we missed. Human. Age 32 standard years. Military background in something called United Earth Marine Corps. Special Operations Division. Extensive combat experience in multiple theaters. No genetic modifications. No cybernetic enhancements. No performance-boosting drugs in his system. Just training. And experience. And something else I could not quite identify. Level 3, Commander Velcris announced. Her voice had lost its casual tone. Now she sounded focused. Intent. Level 3 opponent was a Visyen berserker. Oh boy. These things are bad news. 3 meters tall. 6 arms. Bone ridges that can deflect small arms fire. Rage-enhanced combat state that makes them almost immune to pain. This particular one, Fighter 227, had never lost a match below level 5. The Visyen materialized and immediately entered combat mode. Its eyes went black. Muscles swelled. A low growling sound rumbled from its chest. The bell chimed. Fighter 227 charged like a freight train made of violence and bad intentions. No strategy. No testing. Just pure overwhelming force. Marcus did something I did not expect. He charged back. They met in the center of the arena with a collision that shook the observation deck. The Visyen swung with all 6 arms in a devastating combination that should have turned Marcus into paste. But Marcus was already inside the berserker's reach, too close for the big swings to generate full power. He struck 3 times in rapid succession. Solar plexus. Throat. Temple. The Thaxian's charge stopped cold. It tried to grab Marcus, but its movements were slow now. Confused. Marcus ducked under the grasping arms, moved to the side, and delivered a precise strike to the nerve cluster behind the Thaxian's knee. The berserker toppled like a falling tree. Marcus stepped back, ready, but Fighter 227 did not get up. It lay there, breathing heavily, trying to rise but unable to coordinate its limbs. 12.3 seconds. The observation deck exploded in noise. People were shouting. Arguing. Checking data. Recalibrating equipment. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were not supposed to do this. Commander Velcris stood at the window, her clawed hands pressed against the transparisteel. Continue, she ordered. Level 4. Level 4 was where things got serious. The opponent that materialized was a Zelthorian hunter, one of the apex predator species from a death world where everything wants to kill you. 4.5 meters from ground to the top of its dorsal ridge. Natural weapons that included venom sacs, armor-plated hide, and claws that could punch through starship hull plating. Fighter 689 was a veteran with over 200 confirmed victories. The bell chimed. The Zelthorian did not charge. It stalked. Circling. Patient. Intelligent. Looking for the perfect moment to strike. Marcus matched its movement, circling opposite, maintaining distance. For the first time since entering the arena, he looked tense. Focused. His eyes tracked every movement the Zelthorian made. They circled for 10 seconds. 20. 30. Then the Zelthorian struck, faster than anything that size had any right to move. Its claws swept in a killing arc that would have disemboweled most opponents. Marcus rolled forward, under the strike, came up inside the creature's guard, and did something that made my blood run cold. He grabbed the Zelthorian's venom sac, the biological organ that stores neurotoxin capable of dropping a crin in seconds, and he squeezed. Hard. The Zelthorian screamed. It thrashed, trying to shake him off, but Marcus held on with a grip that should not have been possible for someone his size. The creature tried to roll, to crush him with its weight, but Marcus moved with it, maintaining pressure on the venom sac. Yield, Marcus said quietly. It was the first word he had spoken since entering the arena. Or I rupture this and you spend the next 6 months regrowing it. The Zelthorian went still. Then, in a voice filled with shock and disbelief, it rasped, I yield. Marcus let go and stepped back immediately. The Zelthorian scrambled away, holding its injured venom sac, looking at the human like it had just encountered something from its own world's nightmare archives. 41.6 seconds. The medical team rushed in, but the Zelthorian waved them off. It limped to the exit pad, still watching Marcus over its shoulder. I looked at Prex. What just happened? Prex's scales had gone pale. I do not know. That is not possible. Zelthorians do not yield to species smaller than themselves. It goes against every instinct they have. Commander Velcris's voice came over the intercom again. This time, there was something in her tone I had never heard before. Uncertainty. Level 5. Deploy Fighter 101. The arena went silent again. Fighter 101 was our facility champion. A Drogath warlord who had held that title for 3 full cycles. 4.8 meters of muscle, cybernetic enhancements, and combat experience spanning 60 years. It had reached level 9 in its own assessment. 9. Out of 10,000. When Fighter 101 materialized in the arena, it looked at Marcus with something approaching respect. Then it spoke, its voice amplified by its helmet's external speakers. You fight well, human. I will make this quick. Marcus nodded. Thank you. So will I. The bell chimed. And then I watched the impossible happen right before my eyes. Fighter 101 moved like liquid death. For something that massive, it should not have been able to achieve that kind of speed, but there it was, closing the distance in less than a heartbeat. Its first strike, a straight punch enhanced by hydraulic systems, had enough force behind it to crack a tank's armor. Marcus was not there when the fist arrived. He had already moved, shifted to the side by maybe 5 centimeters. Just enough. The Drogatha's fist passed through empty air with a whistle that sounded like a missile launch. Marcus countered immediately, striking the warlord's extended elbow joint. Not hard enough to damage it, but precisely placed to disrupt the servo mechanisms. Fighter 101's arm locked for a fraction of a second. That was all Marcus needed. He moved in close, impossibly close, and delivered a rapid series of strikes to the Drogatha's torso. Each hit targeted a different system. Hydraulic lines. Power couplings. Armor plate seams. It was surgical. Precise. Like watching someone dismantle a machine rather than fight a living being. The Drogath roared and spun, its other arm sweeping in a backhand that would have decapitated most opponents. Marcus dropped flat to the ground, let the arm pass overhead, then rolled between the warlord's legs and came up behind it. Before Fighter 101 could turn, Marcus had grabbed hold of the power pack mounted on its back, the one that fed energy to all its cybernetic systems, and he did something with his hands that I still do not fully understand. Some kind of twist and pull combination that disengaged the primary coupling. The Drogatha's enhancements went dark. All of them. Simultaneously. Fighter 101 staggered, suddenly carrying the dead weight of its own cybernetics without the power assist that made them functional. It turned to face Marcus, slower now, and I saw something in its eyes that I had never seen before in all my cycles of watching it fight. Respect. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of fear. You fight without honor, the Drogath said, breathing heavy. Disabling my systems instead of facing me directly. Marcus tilted his head slightly. You have 4 times my mass, military-grade cybernetics, and 60 years of combat experience. I used the tools available to level the field. That is not dishonorable. That is tactical thinking. Fighter 101 was quiet for a moment. Then it laughed. A deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the arena. You are correct, human. I concede the match. I yield. 1 minute and 14 seconds. Our facility champion. Defeated. By a human who looked like he could have been a civilian accountant. The observation deck went absolutely insane. People were shouting. Some were accusing us of rigging the match. Others were demanding to see Marcus's genetic scans again. Commander Velcris just stood there, staring at the human in the arena with an expression I could not read. Marcus helped Fighter 101 reconnect its power pack. They exchanged what looked like a respectful nod, and then the Drogath teleported out for system diagnostics. Level 6, Commander Velcris said quietly. I activated my comm, Commander, with respect, perhaps we should pause the assessment. Gather more data. Recalibrate our projections. Level 6, Torvin. Now. I had never heard that tone from her before. It was not curiosity anymore. It was something else. Something that made my survival instincts scream at me to pay attention. Level 6 opponent materialized. A Vex unit. Oh no. Oh no no no. Vex units are not biological. They are combat drones, designed by the Archon Collective specifically for warfare. This one stood 3 meters tall, had enough weapon systems to qualify as a small warship, and its armor could withstand sustained plasma fire. More importantly, it did not feel pain. It did not get tired. It did not yield. The fight continued until one combatant was incapacitated or the other was declared victor by technical knockout. That was the rule for non-biological opponents. The bell chimed. The Vex unit opened fire immediately. Projectile weapons, energy weapons, sonic disruptors. Everything in its arsenal activated at once, turning the arena into a kill zone that would have shredded most species into component atoms. Marcus ran. Not away from the incoming fire, but perpendicular to it, using the terrain features the arena generated as cover. Concrete barriers materialized and exploded under the barrage. He kept moving, never staying in one place for more than a second. The Vex adjusted its targeting, predicting movement patterns, compensating for evasion tactics. Its tactical processor was analyzing Marcus's movements in real time, building a behavioral model, preparing to end the fight. Then Marcus stopped running. He found a piece of destroyed barrier, approximately 2 meters long and half a meter wide, made of reinforced alloy. He picked it up. Just grabbed it and lifted it like it was made of foam instead of material designed to stop anti-vehicle weapons. Did you see that? Prex whispered. The strength required to lift that much mass. Adrenaline response, I said, but I did not believe it even as I said it. Humans can access temporary enhanced strength under stress. That piece weighs 400 kilograms, Torvin. I did not have a response for that. Marcus charged the Vex unit, using the barrier section as a shield. Weapons fire hammered against it, heating the metal to glowing red, but it held. He closed the distance while the Vex continued firing, its processors trying to understand why this tactic was working when it should not be physically possible. When Marcus got within 3 meters, he threw the barrier piece. Not at the Vex, but at the ground in front of it. The metal section hit, bounced, and created a momentary visual obstruction. Marcus used that half-second to close the final distance and leap onto the Vex unit's back. The drone tried to shake him off. Rotated. Spun. Activated its emergency deterrent systems. Marcus held on with one hand and used the other to access the maintenance panel on the Vex's neck joint. He ripped it open, exposing the internal systems, and then pulled out a series of cables with the kind of casual efficiency that suggested he had done this before. Many times before. The Vex unit's weapons went silent. Its movement processors glitched. It took 3 unsteady steps, then toppled forward. Marcus rode it down and stepped off just before it hit the ground. 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Commander Velcris activated the arena intercom. Human Marcus Webb. You have now exceeded our initial projections by a significant margin. Do you wish to continue? Marcus looked up at the observation deck. For the first time since entering the arena, I saw his expression change. Not into a smile, exactly. More like the look someone gets when they finally find a challenge worth their time. Yes, he said. Continue. Level 7 was a Phantom-class infiltrator. These things are nightmares made flesh. They can phase through solid matter, become invisible, manipulate shadows, and kill you before you even know they are in the room. The one that materialized in the arena, designated Fighter 342, had a perfect record. 27 bouts. 27 victories. Most opponents never even saw it before losing consciousness. The bell chimed. Fighter 342 vanished. Completely. No heat signature. No visual. No sound. Marcus closed his eyes. I blinked. What is he doing? I think, Prex said slowly, he is listening. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Marcus stood perfectly still, eyes closed, breathing steady. The arena was silent enough to hear air circulation systems. Then Marcus moved. Fast. His hand shot out and grabbed something that was not there. Except it was there, because suddenly the phantom materialized, caught by what appeared to be its throat equivalent, looking absolutely shocked that it had been detected. Your phase shift generates a pressure differential, Marcus said calmly. Slight, but noticeable if you know what to feel for. And your invisibility does not mask your breathing pattern. He swept the phantom's legs and put it into a hold that forced it to materialize fully or risk serious injury to its physical form. I yield, the phantom hissed. How did you? No one has ever. Training, Marcus said, releasing it. An experience with stealth operatives who were much better at hiding than you. 46 seconds. The observation deck had gone from chaotic noise to dead silence. Everyone was watching now. This was not just unusual. This was unprecedented. We were watching records break in real time. Level 8 materialized without Commander Velcris even announcing it. The system was just continuing automatically now, probably because no one in the control room knew what else to do. The opponent was a Titan-class war construct. 5 meters of organic metal hybrid, designed by a civilization that had mastered bioengineering to the point where they could grow weapons. This thing had plasma cannons for arms, armor that regenerated damage, and a tactical computer built into its neural system. Fighter 999 looked at Marcus and spoke in a voice like grinding stones. You have done well to reach this level, human. But this is where your assessment ends. I am sorry. Marcus nodded. Do not be sorry. Just fight. The bell chimed. The Titan opened fire with both plasma cannons, turning half the arena into superheated death. Marcus ran again, but this time the terrain had nowhere to hide. The Titan was not aiming for where Marcus was. It was aiming for where he would be, cutting off escape routes, herding him into a corner where there would be no option except to face the attack directly. It was good tactics. Professional. Efficient. Marcus reached the corner, stopped running, and turned to face the incoming plasma fire. Then he did something that made every single being in the observation deck question whether our sensors were malfunctioning. He raised his hands in front of him and caught the plasma blast. Not deflected it. Not dodged it. Caught it. His palms made contact with superheated energy that should have vaporized him instantly, and somehow, through a combination of movement and timing that our analysis computers would spend the next 3 cycles trying to model, he redirected the plasma stream back at its source. The Titan took its own attack directly to the chest. Armor plating melted. Internal systems sparked and failed. It staggered backward, trying to process what had just happened. Marcus did not give it time to recover. He rushed forward while the Titan was still reeling, found the seam between its torso and leg assembly, and delivered a strike that had every ounce of his body weight behind it. The Titan's leg buckled. It fell to one knee. Marcus moved behind it, found the primary power conduit that ran along its spine, and applied pressure to specific points. The bioengineering that made the Titan so formidable also gave it biological vulnerabilities. Nerve clusters. Pressure points. Weak spots that no one had ever been able to exploit before because no one could get close enough to try. "Stand down," Marcus said quietly. "You cannot continue like this." The Titan tried to rise. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. "I yield," it finally said, its voice filled with something that sounded like disbelief. "I yield to the human." 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Level 8. Defeated. Commander Velcris finally moved from her position at the window. She strode to the intercom station and activated it personally. "Human Marcus Webb. We need to discuss what happens next. What you have accomplished here today has no precedent in our database. Level 9 opponents are not standard assessment parameters. They are reserved for ranking the galaxy's elite warriors. Are you certain you wish to continue?" Marcus looked tired now. Actually tired. His breathing was heavier. Sweat covered his face. But when he answered, his voice was steady. "I came here to be assessed properly. If level 9 is part of that assessment, then yes. I will continue." Commander Velcris was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Very well. But understand this. Level 9 opponents have killed challengers before. Accidentally, during the bout, despite our safety protocols. If you proceed, you accept that risk. Understood and accepted." She pressed the button. Level 9 materialized in the arena, and I felt my blood turn cold. It was a Reaver Prime. These things are illegal in 17 sectors. They are psychotic killers, engineered for maximum lethality, kept in stasis except for specific military operations or, apparently, combat assessments at the highest levels. This one, Fighter 777, had killed 4 of its last 6 opponents despite our best efforts to prevent it. The Reaver Prime looked at Marcus with eyes that showed no thought except violence. No intelligence. No honor. Just the desire to destroy. The bell chimed. The Reaver moved faster than anything I had ever seen. It crossed the arena in less than a second, claws extended, jaws open, making a sound that was not quite a roar and not quite a scream. Marcus met it head-on. They collided in a blur of motion too fast for me to properly track. Claws scraped against Marcus's armor, tearing fabric but somehow not finding flesh. Marcus struck back with hits that targeted joints, nerve clusters, anything that might slow the Reaver down. But the Reaver did not slow. It did not stop. It just kept attacking with relentless, mindless fury. They fought across the entire arena. Crashing through terrain features. Breaking equipment. The energy shields protecting the observation deck flickered under the impact vibrations. Marcus was bleeding now. Multiple cuts across his arms and torso. But he was still fighting. Still moving. Still adapting. He grabbed the Reaver's arm during one exchange and used its momentum to throw it into the arena wall. The impact cracked the reinforced plating. The Reaver bounced off, landed on its feet, and charged again. This time, Marcus was ready. When the Reaver lunged, he sidestepped and delivered a strike to the back of its skull. The exact spot where the brain stem met the spinal column. The kill switch that every living thing has, even engineered monsters. The Reaver Prime collapsed mid-charge and did not get up. Marcus stood over it, breathing hard, bleeding from a dozen wounds. He looked up at the observation deck. "Is there a level 10? He asked. Commander Velcris stared at him. We all did. Finally, she shook her head. Level 10 opponents are not kept at this facility. They require specialized containment and authorization levels above my clearance. But you have proven your point, human. Assessment complete. Medical teams rushed into the arena. Marcus waved them off at first, checking on the Reaver Prime to make sure it was still breathing. Only after confirming the creature was alive did he allow the medics to begin treating his injuries. As they escorted him out of the arena, Every warrior in the observation deck stood. It was not planned. Not coordinated. It just happened. A sign of respect that transcended species and culture. Marcus Webb. Human. Who scored level 9 on a combat assessment where most species do not break level 4. I looked at Prex. We are going to have to recalibrate everything, are we not? Prex's scales had returned to their normal color, but there was a look in their eyes I had never seen before. Torvin, I do not think you understand what we just witnessed. We did not test a human today. We tested humanity's potential. And if Marcus Webb is what they consider a standard special operations soldier. The implication hung in the air between us. I pulled up Earth's file in our database. Currently ranked as a minor power. Limited military threat. Minimal strategic concern. I flagged the file for immediate review and upgraded their threat assessment to priority 1. Because if the galaxy had learned anything today, it was this: humans might look soft. They might seem weak. They might even make you laugh at first. But underestimate them at your own peril. Their strongest fell in seconds. The human did not even blink.